This is Greg Carson, former player of the Nighthawks and alumni from 1993 to 1997. Also proud member of the first Cyclone Taylor Championship team in Beaver Valley. You're listening to Hawk Talk with hosts and alumni Ross Simner, Jake Morissette, and Connor Jones. Enjoy the show, folks.
Welcome, all of you Hawk Talk enthusiasts. This is episode 15 of our Hawk Talk. However, we have an amazing guest today, but before we get to that, Jakey and I were talking earlier on our scout session here about, we've spoke with this, probably one of the first guests we had on before we call him Big Corporate Connor from upstairs, changed the whole platform of Hawk Talk back when it was just the Hawk Nest, right? So we have Jakey. Do you remember those olden days, right? We're just getting started.
Yeah, I think we had an actual tape recorder, didn't we?
The tape recorder, right? And then obviously, as the sponsors rolled in, they got Big Corporate Connor, and he just kind of, we were speechless after that, right, Con Man?
Yeah, I can't remember how it went, but it just was.
I bet you don't remember.
Kind of invited myself
another day
on
in the
here.
office for you.
I think I liked my episode so much I wanted to get on, and so I'm like, fuck, I got to start my own show, I guess.
Guys, kind of like Rob Lowe in Wayne's World.
Exactly.
So speaking of, we've had this character on. I guess this is his first time on the Hawk Nest. We have, if you can last as a goalie in any league, but especially with the Beaver Valley Nighthawks for 3 years, you're pretty, I'll say special and incredible. That is Mike Vlanich. We got you here out in Calgary, but tuning in today for the show. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing? Happy to be here.
Do you remember when we met a few years ago? It was during COVID, I think. We were just kind of getting our feet wet.
Yeah, I think I did that in the parking lot because we got timing all mixed up.
Jakey, what was the episode again?
What was the animals and scandals? Scandals and animals. I guess something to that effect.
The names of our episodes are actually quite great. Till Big C came down and shut us down. So,
Yeah.
anyways, but what those are unpublished anyways. So that's more just rough draft. And tell us a little bit about we like to start with how you got started with the Hawks. Some players went to the junior mites hockey school. Others, just dominated Warfield hockey for a while, street hockey, whatever, and then got recruited heavily. So how did it work out with you?
Yeah, I think it was always going out to the hockey sessions the Jonesies would always put on. Playing against Connor, Kellen out there on those ice times. Being around Terry quite a bit in those ice times as well. And then I had a really good showing at a spring camp for the Smoke Eaters. And that more or less, sparked Terry to bring me on for my first year. That was a little shaky though, my first year. So we actually ended up bringing in Paul Barclay. So that was a really great veteran presence there my first year. Kind of learned the ropes from him. And then after that, it was kind of
what was his story?
We picked him up from Surrey actually. So I think he was injured. And then he came to us just before the deadline.
Sounds like a classic Hank Deadmarsh move, of course.
Yeah, no, I know it was really good. So, and then that was the year, we were kind of bottom seeded, fourth spot going to the playoffs. I had to play against a really good Nelson Leafs team that year and ended up bringing them to 7 games. So, and I even think we were down 3-0 and came back and brought it to game 7.
So, Mikey, when you were 17, you said, right? Did you always think like, hey, I'm gonna play for the Nighthawks one day? Because you were a West Kootenay Scales camp. You weren't maybe Limby-esque where you were at Nighthawk camp and junior camp at the same time. But was that something you always thought about? I know you
sprinkling some math camp in the summer.
Yeah, I think growing up, I think everyone in the West Kootenay was to play for the Trail Smoke Eaters, right? And then after that, it was
not me or Jake.
Yeah. And then Yeah, and the
I'm not here,
Nighthawks
I guess,
were
Connor.
a
Like,
really
could have probably
great
too.
option as well, right? And I think that was the hope is Nighthawks then make it up somehow, right?
For sure. So why do you think that first year was like so tough? I mean, obviously it's a big jump going from, going major midget to that. Like, what did you think, like, your first impression was?
Yeah, I think my first impression was just the workload, right? Like there's a lot of pressure. You're traveling now all the time. And you got some bigger guys out there too, right? So 17 and then you got 20-year-olds now too. So I think it was just a little bit of an adjustment there. I think I started the year off all right, and then I kind of tailed off pretty hard at the end. So I think it was just a workload and just, being there mentally, game in and game out was a little challenging.
Cool. And then coming up, you say, so coming up being in your first junior year, like playing for one of the local teams, what was it like? Like who were some of the guys that you played with that you remember? But also, I know for me, when I first joined, like you're playing with guys that you played with growing up, but also like some of the trail guys that I played against growing up. So it was a little bit different. What was that like for you?
Yeah, so we had Scott Morriso my first year on the team. Some Castlegar guys, right, that play up with rep growing up. So I think it's just kind of weird how that all kind of like you hate the guy and then all of a sudden you're on the same team and you're like, oh yeah, this guy actually isn't so bad after all, right? And then I, played with Krista Roche, all of my minor hockey career as well. So,
Oh yeah.
you had guys like that.
Yeah, it's
Played
kind of
against
funny.
Ari Posmus is another character, right? Always hated
Yeah.
playing against Fruitvale. So, it's really funny how that all happens. And then there's just a huge love bond going on, once you're there. So it's kind of
Yeah, it's
special.
funny. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sure Connie had the same, just like growing up playing against like the trail and Fruitvale kids playing against each other, some Castlegar kids. Then you start going to high school together, and then
Yeah,
you're
you
on the
love it,
same team.
right?
It's a
You
different
like
dynamic.
carpooling and Jake, who was the guy? Who was the guy from Trail? You were like, God, I hate this guy so much. Then you became best friends with.
It's Jared Caminado, but I think I still hated him a little bit. I'm just kidding. I love you, Jared.
Mine was Chris Davis. I remember trying to break his ankle in the last game of the midget playoffs, and then all three of us signing the next like week with the Nighthawks, and we were best friends ever since. Like he's just the best. So, I was like,
Yeah, it's the same. A lot of those guys growing up playing against him. Then so many guys like Ryan Hanley, Derek Calm, like just such good friendships out of that.
I'm not sure if I'm picking up here, fellas, but hopefully, obviously the carpool is a big thing here, right? There was talk of a van at some point. There was some bartering, some contract negotiations.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a rundown on that one. So we used to do that AM Ford, get people in and test drive vehicles. And the carpool was there. So we all roll up. We talked to Dennis there and we ask him, we're taking out this huge transport van thing. So we take it around the block, go for a ride in it. We really like it. So the next day, we're all thinking, how can we get Terry to buy us a new van for the carpool? Because at that time we only had a little 7-seater van. So we go into the locker room after practice one day, the entire carpool, and we tell Terry, we got Chris DeRozier, we got Craig Martin, leading scorers in the KIGHL. I'm there. We got Archie as well. More or less, you got, 1/3 of the team, 1/4 of the team here. Why
Kind
don't
of
you?
the biggest 1/4 of the team.
Yeah, there's big guys too. So we got 1/4 of the team here. Why don't we get a van for us? And instantly shut that down. But I don't think in his life he's ever had a request like that. I talked to him a few years later about that. He says, yeah, no one's ever had the balls to ask for something like that.
maybe asking for sticks or skates, but not an actual minivan.
Yeah. We even threw in there, we threatened we would want trades out too or something like that.
Well, I mean, DeRoche, Mental, and Eddie. I mean, there's 300 points right there for your guys. Like, they weren't just the best players in the league that year. So,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, my dad probably thought about it for 1 second. Was like, these guys are full of shit. Especially
Hank's like we got this branches stick still here. That thing's not breaking down, so no van.
Few Flarrow one pieces.
Yeah.
Couple Flarrows, snake. His eyes light up
Gets
right
me
away.
excited when we start talking about the Flarrows. I can go on all day.
I don't know if we could ever finally have. He used to come into the change room after the game in like sweatpants with a mustard stain and give out the Flarrow MVP stick, and it always went to Jake. And then that only lasted about half the season.
They ran out of Flarrows. That was pretty much it. Jake took them all.
Yeah.
I still keep in touch with the guy. We email regularly.
Hockey guy _Flarrow at Gmail.
Yeah, you can find him.
So, Mikey, after that first year, you kind of solidify yourself. I mean, you had a big year next year, right? Like, and like stats were really good. And then talk about kind of that season and going into that first round of playoffs with Castlegar.
Oh, that would have been third year.
Third year, sorry.
Third year. Yeah, our third year was kind of a weird year, I think, for that team because, we also had Dallas Calvin come back from junior A. I was a late cut from junior A. Ryan Dixon was also a late cut. And then we brought in some really good character guys that year too. We ended up bringing back Skidsy, Josh Peters.
Oh, yeah.
Some really solid guys.
Blue guys.
Depth chart there, right? So, it was just one of those years where, you kind of had all these stars align. The carpool got rolling again. And, it just kind of, yeah, we were the team to beat that year finally. And it was a long 3 years to get to that point. And then again, Castlegar was also a very formidable opponent that year. And I think we were up 2-0 too in that series, and they came back, tied it up at 2s, and then it was just back and forth. And then game 7 was a wild one. We had an infamous no look behind the back hand pass up the middle that got picked. Down 2-0. And then, it was our third, fourth line that really won us that game. It wasn't, the Craig Martins, the Ryan Edwards.
Shout out to the 3-4s.
Yeah. Justin Niminikin and
The
that line was
boys.
rolling. So that, the rest was, after we got over that hurdle, it was, I think we just cruised past the rest of the teams.
Was that the year you guys were flip-flopping goalies?
Yeah, it was really nice actually. I played half and Zach Perhudov played the other half period there. So, and we were just kicking back and forth. I think
games,
we were
right. It wasn't like minor hockey, like half the game.
No, yeah.
Oh, geez. I know. I've seen Hank come in with some great ideas, and that maybe would have gotten the head of Castlegar, but you guys were just alternate games.
Yeah, alternating games, exactly. So yeah, we split that year, and I think both of us didn't have more than 5 losses or something like that on the total year regular season. So
game 7, you played or Perry played?
I played game 7, that one.
And you guys were he played game 6 and you were just like, all right, my turn, game 7, or were you nervous? Like,
well, I don't know the thought processing or, I wasn't sure if I was going to go game 7 because I'd kind of stunk, to be honest, that entire series. I think I played one good game and then the other 2 were kind of a little iffy.
What did they let you know? Like, is it like you both prep the same and then, I don't know, after warm up? Or is it just like 2 days before when you're having colander, like don't get extra, meatballs for the road because you're starting tomorrow?
Or do you get extra meatballs, maybe?
I think the only thing that was ever different in preparation for me was I would bring candy out onto the bench if I wasn't playing. I think other than that, though, I always rolled the same.
Bit of a trend with the Nighthawks goalies.
Bit of a trend. Who's your goalie coach then?
Mike Brissett. Yeah, that probably explains a lot.
You guys are so skinny.
When you brought candy on the bench, how many of those did he steal from you?
What's that?
When you brought candy on the bench, how many of those was he stealing off you, or were you piling them off him?
No, he was up in the video booth, so he didn't get any. Yeah, but I'd had out a couple out on the bench.
Can't imagine the stats you had up there.
All right, just throw back the sour keys.
Man, those sour keys were next level.
Oh,
yeah,
$1.50 now.
I think that's next episode is just on the snacks out of the concession at the BV Arena for days on that.
I heard a story from Mikey once that he had those like gumdrops all stuck in his pads, and he went out on the
Oh,
ice and they just
you must
shot
have
all
listened to our
over it.
episode with Mike Yawn. Yeah, it went
Yeah.
hugely viral.
Yeah, yeah, he's a character.
He got
They
thrown in with
splattered on
candy
ice.
stuck in his pads.
Right? Like a 6-year-old, like at recess or something, playing
It
road
is.
hockey.
Speaking of Mike, he had one question for me to ask you. And I don't. Maybe you're in the office. This will get us off the rails. We can't go there. But I need to know what's a Frosty Collins.
Oh, that's a legendary drink I would fab up. And we would have that poolside over at Terry's house there, senior.
After CHS, after Mikey graduated CHS and then became,
Yeah.
Up in the junior camp and then working for us, he had the blender going one night. It was like 2 a.m. There's just river moss all around, like this spotlight for these Frosty Tom Collins as he's making it. And
Oh my
my poor
God.
neighbors are just like, what is going on? Why is there a spotlight out here and a blender noise? Like it's 1:30 a.m. and we're just sucking back gin and tonic Frosty Collins. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
So
love
much
that.
sugar in those too. I think you probably put like 3 cans of that limeade in there.
No wonder
never
the
even heard
goalies
of it. Is it a
those
real
sweet
drink, or do you
tooth-
make
sweet
this
tooth
thing up?
goalies?
Yeah, it's a legitimate drink.
Legit,
Oh, yeah.
man. Good.
Yeah,
Legit
yeah,
drinking, you're legit puking green the next morning. It is
yeah.
just
Moths chasing you around.
a couple
Yeah.
months in there. Hey, Mikey, do you have any like weird superstitions? Like you're regularly, you're a pretty normal goalie for the most part. Like, did you have any kind of weird things that went on?
No, not really weird. I was always very regimented though in my pre-game prep. So I'd always do the typical hockey nap. Then I'd wake up, I'd put a pot of coffee on. I go for a walk around the block, and then I just do some meditation, visualization, whatever you want to call it. After my walk, and then I drink a pot of coffee and then go to the rink.
A whole,
A
whole
what?
pot? Legit whole pot.
Yeah, legit whole pot.
Did you have any coffee at the rink too?
Yeah, we'd have lots of coffee. So Terry probably doesn't know this, but we used to bring a little bit of Bailey's in on some practice nights. We have a little Bailey's coffee before practice.
Who started that?
Don't
Whose
tell him
idea
that,
was
though,
that?
eh?
Edward?
Who knows now if the tradition is still continuing, which I kind of hope it is. You just saw
Ruined it for the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sit there after practice in the shower, a little coffee Bailey's. It wasn't such
You
a
guys
bad
are
trade-off.
hacking darts before practice too, right?
Not in the carpool. We couldn't do that in the van. The old man would have killed us.
It was your van. You were driving, right?
Yeah, I was driving for the most part. Yeah. So that year we actually picked up Jake Lucchini. So we had 8 people in the carpool. So the first day we picked him up, we only had 7 seats in the van. And he had to bring his gear. So
You
we
guys seem like a
packed
really safe crew. 8
Oh,
seaters.
yeah. Just operated with reckless abandons. But yeah, we threw him in there. And, we would go up that Montrose cutoff hill there, roll open the side of the door. Guys would be out there paddling vans as we're trying to pass them up that cutoff.
Oh
man.
yeah. So what? Obviously 3 great years. It's what was life after for Nighthawks that you stayed around for a while in the area, and then and now you reside out in Calgary.
Yeah, so after Nighthawks, I went over to State, played a couple years of hockey at State, then went back to Selkirk, played a year at Selkirk, and then finished off my university degree over on the island in Victoria, and then found myself over here now in Calgary.
How long have you been there for?
Just moved here to Calgary this week, actually. Was in Saskatchewan before, and now, yeah, moving up
What are you
within the
doing out there,
company.
Mike? New job, or why'd you move?
No, just moving up within the company. So COVID, we were working from home. And then my partner ended up
Oh, you're
moving
not at
down.
home right now. You're in an office.
Yeah, we got an
I
office
couldn't
in
tell.
Calgary. Yeah,
Whoa.
it's a big office guy now.
We had a little laugh before the show. The office. It looks like his kid. Is that where home is now? Is it is semi-permanent, or is that kind of temp there?
No, this would be permanent. But I think with anything in life, maybe it's not permanent. We'll find out.
Yeah, like starting on a game 7 or not, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, just to end here, Mikey, like you got to tell us, like, what is the one story that you can't forget about? It's the funniest thing you've ever had during your time as Nighthawk.
I'll leave it with this one, a carpool one. Our third year, we were notorious for getting into these brawls. And we were in an A&W parking lot, full on snowball fight. People throwing snowballs out of the van. I think we ran over Marty's foot with the van. And Kami happened to be driving downtown trail as he's seeing this go on, pulls into the parking lot and just starts yelling at us.
Should have peppered him with snowballs.
Yeah, so we disbanded and carried on from there.
Abort! And then headed to practice.
Yeah, then right back at it. So, no, yeah, we were always up to something with that carpool group.
Yeah, some of those times just the best, like on the road and the little fun things you did, and brought everyone together pretty quick, which is also teeing us up. This thing brings us together as well, Manny hot people on this right when the show's released. Get on there. We don't like you to fast forward to the end here for Jake's trivia and tidbits, but it is that time, people. So, without further ado, we have Jake's trivia and tidbits.
Yeah, trivia. We're still going with that name, Jakey's Trivia Tidbits. But it is a hot segment. People have been sending me personal messages trying to get the answers before they submit them. Kootenai West Distilling is offering a $50 gift certificate for the first correct answer. Is that right, Con?
Yeah.
Yeah, first perfect. Question of the day. We have a legendary goalie on today, so that we have a goalie question. What Nighthawk goalie had the highest overall save percentage, minimum 40 games played?
You're not allowed to answer it now, Mike.
Mike, do you have a guess though?
I got a guess. Rocky, I would think maybe.
Ooh.
And if not, Kevin Hatchie.
Whoa, those are good names. Good names.
Couple good names out there, people. We want to see it in the comments section.
Yes, we should check the comments to find out.
You betcha. Mike, it was great having you, man. Really appreciate it having you back on the corporate episode. Thanks a ton for this. It's really good. And obviously a lot of guys that played with you always, it seems like an awesome crew you guys had. So I'm sure they'll be happy to hear as well.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on here today, fellas.
Thanks, Mike.
All righty, Connor.
Yeah, thanks for doing
Jakey, Mike, take care, fellas.
See you, boys.
See you guys.
Hi, listeners. This is former Nighthawks player and captain Morgan Peace from the 2017 to 2020 seasons. I hope you're enjoying the show. Make sure to follow us on social media at BV Nighthawks Alums and to visit our website at bvnighthawksalum.ca.